All right, hello everybody. I don't know if my video is showing or not, but hopefully you all can hear me. My name is Nick Altman. I'm the HOA Information Officer with the Division of Real Estate here in Colorado. You've joined one of our monthly online forum series where we discuss HOA topics ranging from HOA budgets, voting, elections, HOA records, and registration requirements. The topic for today's presentation is HOA registration requirements, specifically for new HOA board members and community association managers. So maybe you're a brand new board member in your community and you've joined this call because you've recently heard HOAs have to register with the state, or you might also be a community manager who recently obtained several new HOA clients. So in that case, congratulations, and I hope your new acquisition is beneficial for both parties involved. In either case, we hope this presentation is useful as you learn our system and understand its intricacies, which can sometimes be confusing. We get that. Chat is enabled for this presentation, so feel free to post any questions in the chat bar at the bottom. With that, I'm glad to hand the baton over to our registration specialist, Amanda Lopez. Amanda, thanks for being here today. We appreciate you, and it's all yours. Take it away.
Thanks. Hi, everybody. Happy Friday, and thank you so much for joining us today. I am going to cover the registration requirements for common interest communities. As you can see, that's what the title of the forum is today. So I'm going to kind of go over everything when it comes to what to do when you become when you have a new role within the management company to represent HOAs, and also self-managed HOAs. If you are a new president, if you, like Nick said, if you have a new role within the board or management company, I will show you all the process of what to do when it comes to the registration side with Dora. So with that, we'll go ahead and get into it. Unless you have anything else, Nick?
No.
Perfect. Okay. Let's go ahead and get into that then. Thank you again. I will turn off my camera. And if anybody has questions, again, go ahead and ask that in the chat. All right. Again, registration requirements for common interest communities. We will go ahead and get into it. So, registration requirements for common interest communities. The purpose of this presentation is to provide tips to newly elected board members. For one, they're determining if their HOA is already registered with the Division of Real Estate, and two, how to update that information. So this presentation will also cover community association managers who recently obtained new HOA clientele and how to go about updating that information. Again, presented by me. If anybody has any questions, I will provide my email address and my contact information. Reminder, the information provided during this presentation today is for educational purposes only and is not meant to provide, nor should it be construed as legal advice. Any legal questions should be directed to a qualified Colorado attorney. So many of you know, many of you are, again, becoming familiar with what our office does and does not do. For those of you who do not know, and for those of you who do, I will go ahead and remind you, what is the HOA Information and Resource Center? So we go over what we do first. So we provide information to homeowners regarding their basic rights and responsibilities under the Colorado Common Interest Ownership Act, which is also known as CCIOA. We also gather and analyze gather, analyze, and report the information through complaints and HOA registrations. We create resource materials, provide educational forums such as this one today. We provide websites with information for the public, registered HOAs pursuant to 38-33.3-401 in the Colorado Revised Statute. And we also provide an annual report to the legislator. What the HOA Information and Resource Center does not do, so we are not a regulatory program, do not mediate, nor do we arbitrate. We cannot provide any legal advice. We do not act as an advocate. We cannot assess fines or penalties. And last, we do not enforce an HOA's failure to register. And if there is some background noise, please let me know. There shouldn't be, but if you do hear some, please again let me know and I will fix that. So we have a big announcement in the HOA Center. One big announcement, and many of you can appreciate this. I know I do. We will have a new online system for the Division of Real Estate. So the online services that I will go over and show you today. Again, we will have a new one. So we will be transitioning to that soon. We don't know exactly what date that will be. However, we will go ahead. We will make sure to inform everybody. And again, because it is a new system, as many of you know how that works, sometimes there are glitches or any kinks within that. So again, we will work on that, and please let us know how we can help. But we will be training, so I will make sure to do my best to become as knowledgeable as I can be to help everybody out. So with that, we'll go ahead and get right into our presentation today. Newly elected presidents and board members. That's who this is for today, right? So we'll go over that. First thing you want to do is, again, if you are, again, new with the management company and they say, hey, we need you to be the designated agent for the HOA. So, sometimes it can be confusing, and it is, but that's why, again, I'm always here to help with that. And you want to make sure first that the HOA is registered with the Secretary of State before you do come to our department and division when it comes to either registering yourself as a designated agent or making sure that, if the HOA again is registered. So Secretary of State will have that information also if they are registered there. We use, and what I use is their Secretary of State ID number. So that information is actually important to me because that's what I use to locate your HOA. So if you say, hey, I just got this new HOA within the management company, I don't know the information. However, I do have this Secretary of State ID number. Perfect. I'll give you the information that you need. That's why it's so important. So you do want to make sure, again, it is registered with the Secretary of State. Because sometimes if it's not registered here, there will be a whole different process and it's a little bit longer. So got to make sure all your I's are dotted and all your T's are crossed with that one. HOA registration fees and the renewal requirements are going to be different. So with the Secretary of State and with our office. So when it comes to the fees, I think if I'm not wrong, and again, don't quote me on this, I do believe that is $10 registration and renewal with the Secretary of State. Again, I'm not too familiar with that, but you want to make sure and double check. Ours is $43. So it's done annually. I know theirs is done annually as well. However, again, I don't know the requirements with their stuff, but you want to make sure everything is good on that side also. Again, as I mentioned, get the Secretary of State ID number. That is important information, and it's key information for me to be able to find your HOA to make sure that it is registered so I can give you that login info for whatever HOA you're looking for, assuming it is in the registration database. So if the HOA is registered, many of you are familiar, again, many of you are not. And if not, I will go ahead and get into that next slide here in a minute to show you what it looks like. It is called an online registration number, request form. And I use the acronym ORN. If you email me and if we, email each other, I might use that often. And again, that's just the online registration number. So ORN, again, you'll see that quite often from me. That's what that means. If it's not registered with us, then that's when, again, you'll need to complete a new HOA registration. That's a whole different process, a whole different thing. But again, if you have questions on that, feel free to email me because I'm always happy to send you either the steps or go over the process with you and help you understand our online application and account registration. Let's see. Next one is the registration of an individual account. So if you are a community association manager or if you're a board member, and again, if you've been delegated as the designated agent by your HOA or by the management company, you want to make sure you have an individual account. So this is going to be different from the actual HOA account. We have two types of accounts within our application registration process here with the Division of Real Estate. You have an individual account and you have a business account. Business account, of course, is going to be where the HOA is going to be housed under. Individual account is if you are a broker, if you're a loan originator, if you're an appraiser, any other type or any type of real estate license is going to fall under your individual because it's about you, not about the HOA, right? So make sure you have an individual account. If you are already within a management company and you do have other HOAs already under you and you need to update that information, or you need if there's already an HOA, a designated agent under that HOA and you need to update it, then again, there's a process for that. And again, I'll go ahead and show you guys here in this presentation. But that's important information. You want to make sure that you don't already have an account before you apply for a new account, before you register, because you don't want all these different accounts flying around. It's not easy to merge them all, but it's a process, but it can happen. But it's easier if you just make one account. And again, if you need your login information, if you have an account, let me know and I can provide that to you. Do we have any questions at all, Nick?
Nothing yet, Amanda. Thanks.
Perfect. Thanks. Just double checking. Okay. Great. So next one, online request form for HOA account access. Again, many of you are familiar, many of you are not, and that's okay. This is the form that I will send out if you have a request for HOA access, HOA account access. So this form must be completed if you can't access the HOA account and the login information needs to be updated. Again, let's just say, you are with a new management company, you're the new DA, designated agent. Designated agent is DA, and I will again go over that acronym with you. You're the new designated agent under this CAM, but you don't know how to remove the previous person. You don't have login information. They didn't provide it to you. And that's okay. You can share it. However, if they don't, and nobody provides it to you, just go ahead and ask us more private. We'll share that. This is the form you want to fill out. So you'll send this form with the HOA registration license number, the Secretary of State ID number, and the HOA name. So reminder that only one individual per HOA or association management company. So if it's a management company and it's a huge management company, just remember only one person under the management company. It's easier that way. It avoids confusion and it's easier to be able to provide that all in one request. or if the HOA is self-managed and there's a new president, but the previous president didn't provide, or the secretary or whoever didn't provide the login information. Again, that's what this form is for. If you fill out this form exactly how it is on that the example here, I can easily go in and locate the HOA, assuming that it is registered with us. Reminder, just for quicker processing time, it should be typed. It's preferred to be typed, and the HOA license number should be formatted as this example here, HOA 1234, no spaces. Notice that there's no spaces. There's no zeros. It makes it so much easier. That's how it is on my end. So I could just easily copy paste that and quickly provide you with a response. Don't write in the form, please, just because sometimes it is hard to read. It's hard. Sometimes there's handwriting that's not clear to read. Sometimes there might be some information missing. Sometimes, there may be a scribble out if you messed up on a number or a letter, and it makes it harder for me to be able to make that out. So I may have to say, hey, I can't find the information with what you wrote on the form. Can you please provide that back to me in a typed version, just to, again, better and quicker assist you. Okay, as mentioned, make sure it is typed out. I just kind of wanted to show this, how it makes it a little bit harder if there's no information there. Sometimes, again, it can be missing and we don't know what the information is. We don't know if it's registered. So one way that I like to do this is copy paste our information that we get here into our database that I have into my, so I can locate the HOAs. And also, let's just say, hey, well, what if there was a typo when somebody registered the HOA? Well, what if that number, that one was supposed to be something else, but that is the HOA, it is registered, but there may be something either, again, in some type of typo. Now, thankfully, you have a license number, but what if we didn't have a license number? What if it wasn't registered? So it just makes it a little bit, again, just a little bit more difficult and I guess more time consuming to locate the information. So again, easier and so much more appreciative if you provide it in a typed version. So next one, we will go over the steps to receive the online registration numbers that you requested. So I just used all these examples that I can come up with because on a daily, there's just different scenarios. And one big one that I always get is, okay, well, again, as I mentioned, I am a community association manager. I just got to this company. I am the new designated agent, but the person before me didn't give me any information to log into these accounts that I have to register or to make sure that they're renewed or registered. So what do I do? Same thing as a self-managed. What if the previous person in the role didn't provide the information? So what do? Well, you don't know if it's registered or not. How do you even find that information? So again, that's why you come to me and I will help do what I can to search for the HOA. I have different ways to search. Again, Secretary of State ID number is my best friend. It's going to be yours. And if it's not, I'm going to have to make it your best friend because it's very, very valuable information for us to ensure that the HOA is registered. Same thing as the online registration number. And it sounds crazy, but that's going to have to be your best friend if you're the designated agent also. So these numbers, I know they're just, you might say, okay, well, it's just a number. No, it's actually key to get you into the account to update the information. So you'll receive an email from me with that attached form, the online registration number request form. Again, this is it. You'll receive an email from me if you need access to that, fill that out. I'll provide you with that. Normally when I do, and this is what I usually provide in my emails. So again, if you've emailed me in the past, you might recognize this. If not, again, you will receive these steps. These are, again, the key steps to complete that process of becoming or accessing the HOA account to update the login information. So, you gotta get the Secretary of State ID number, make sure that the HOA is, again, registered. Um, I'll go over this process here with you guys to show you what it looks like when you're on the website in our online. I know sometimes it can be confusing, or maybe our website may or may not be user friendly, but I promise these steps are literally precisely written to get you into the account. I promise. So let's get into that, right? Again, if you are familiar, this is our online services website. So I know I am huge on this website. And like I mentioned earlier, we will have a new one, a new online services. But for now, this is what we will be using until we do get that new one. And again, if you have questions on that, please let me know and I will do my best to help out where I can and when I can. So um, I wanted to go ahead and go online and share my screen with everybody to show the process of what you need to do when you're a new community association manager. What if you don't have an account? What do? Do you have to create a new account where people think that maybe you have to get the HOA transferred into your designated agent stuff? But that's not the process. I know sometimes it can be confusing, but I wanted to go in and show everybody that. Oh, sorry, I promise I knew I was supposed to do that. And my phone rang. So, all right, let's get into that. Bear with me one moment and I will go ahead and share. Do we have any questions, Nick?
Amanda, I had one quick question here for you from from Bob. Bob was asking if we don't have a registration number, would you be able to find that for us?
If we don't have a registration, like a license number, right, or a online registration number, um, the license number, yes, I will show how to search for that if the HOA is registered. Um, I know if sometimes you're looking for the HOA, if it is registered, you don't know. So how are you going to find out? Well, you can search by the name, but we don't know what the name is sometimes. So again, Secretary of State might have more information um, to be able to search. But if you don't have the HOA's registration number, we can get that. I do have ways to be able to search to see maybe if the HOA is registered. Sometimes I'll go on to Google and say, okay, let me search up this HOA and make sure it's in our website somewhere. And if it is, that's how I find it. So there's different ways. So yes, I can help. It's okay if we don't have a registration number. We sometimes assume that if we don't have one, that it's not registered, and that may be the case. But always double check with me and I can help out for sure.
Perfect. Thanks, Amanda.
Thank you. All right. Perfect. Okay. So again, I want to share my screen with everybody. Let me get that ready and going. Put that over here. Can everybody see this?
Yep, we can see welcome to E-License, Colorado Division of Real Estate.
Perfect. Okay. That was easier than I thought it would be. Okay. So let's get started. We will go over first. I want to show everybody how to access the account, right? If the HOA is already registered and we don't know the login information, but we need it, of course. I have accounts that I've created on my end that are test accounts. I wanted to share that and just use those as examples. But this will be the exact same process that you will do when you provide the form to me, get all the information, and again, the steps that I went over and read to you, that you'll receive an email in, that's exactly what I'm going to show you today. So we'll go over that. And I also want to show to see how to update the designated agent, to either register yourself as a designated agent, and how to find the application to become a designated agent. So you will learn a lot today when it comes to this online services that we have and how to attach yourself to an HOA. First, as I mentioned, want to click on register. I know it sounds funny because it says don't have an account. You don't have the user ID or password. So where do you go? Well, register. And the reason why is because it will recognize if the account's already in there, if you are already registered, and if not, then it will tell you, okay, then create a new one. So again, as I mentioned, individual because it has to do with the designated agent, right? So that I apologize for the HOA. So this one here, business, is for the HOA. So I apologize, I misspoke. So business is what we're going to use when we are searching for the association, right? And we want to update the designated agent. So assuming that the designated agent is already registered and has a license, these are the steps to access the HOA account, to update the login information, right? And renew or update any necessary HOA information. So as I mentioned, business, because it has to do with the HOA. And this one is a little bit confusing, but I'll go over this because it threw me off for a little bit at first, but now it totally makes sense. So, are you registering an online account for yourself or a licensed company? For new companies not yet licensed with us, select no. Again, this is if the HOA is registered and you need to access the account. The HOA doesn't need to be re-registered to renew it. You just need to access it to renew it. So let's just say yes, because again, it's already in there and registered. Like I said, the online registration number is your best friend when it comes to the HOA. And I will show everybody how to access the account using that information. So my thing here is the business and project name, right? So my HOA name is Dora HOA, right? And again, you don't even have to write the whole name. Honestly, if you're like, okay, I don't even know the whole name of the HOA, I just know that I need access to it, but I have the online registration number. And maybe you don't have to type it all the way. Maybe you're just like, it's a long name. I don't feel like typing that whole thing out. So, name and that online registration number that again is your best friend. So, mine for my account is 479700, and you hit finish right away. See, it just finds the account for you without even entering all the information. So again, as I mentioned, you don't even have to write it, but as long as you have the correct online registration number, you are golden. You're able to get in there and update. So let's just say, well, I don't know who created that user ID. I don't know who made this password. I don't even know who created these security questions. This wasn't me. I don't even have a grandchild. I don't know, the name of my first girlfriend or boyfriend. I don't know. I don't remember. So you can again have the option here to update the information that was previously entered by the previous association manager who was a designated agent, or the previous board member who was a designated agent, right? So here I want to update my password because I don't know it, right? I just know I have the online registration number. So I'll change that right? And this is again to the HOA, not to the designated agent. So just remember that. And I'll show you how to identify that here in a minute once we get in. So make sure you have all these here just as it asks because it can be picky. So I will go ahead and create mine. Perfect. I just put each one just to show you all where to go into the account, right? Okay, so you change the user ID, you change the password. Guess what? Now you have all the access to the HOA account. So again, online registration number, that's why it is very important to have. And if you don't have it, reach out and I can provide that. It's okay to share it. As long as, let's just say, well, hey, well, we work for the same management company and now she's a designated agent, but she doesn't have the login. Can I send that to her? Yeah, that's fine. Maybe she's not uh she doesn't have a designated agent under her anymore. They gave that one to another management company within, or another individual within the management company, right? So sometimes that happens. Again, it's okay to share it within the, as long as you are updating it within that same um, I don't know how to really, it's hard because sometimes you get these scenarios, and I've seen it where, maybe they don't want to share the user ID and password. And it makes it hard because you're like, well, I don't know what it was. I don't know these questions. I don't know anything about it. So it's sometimes you're left with no knowledge of anything about the HOA. You don't even know if it's registered, right? So that's why it is okay to share that information. To the next designated agent. We don't want all the hands in the accounts because it does make it a little confusing, but as long as there's only one designated agent for that HOA. So into it right now, this is how I know that I'm in my HOA account up here. That's why I always tell everybody, make sure you look up at the top left-hand corner of the screen. What does that name say? If it says your name, that means you're in your own account. That means you have to log out of your account because you can't change any information in the designated agent when it comes to the HOA because it's not the right account. This is how you know you're in the business account if it has the HOA name. Otherwise, you want to log out, right? And change that there. Log right back into the correct account. So, license information, right? My HOA active. I just did the renewal, so I'm good to go till next year. Employee/employer. This is who is my previous designated agent. This is their information, right? This is when they started. Expiration date, remember, I don't know if any of you know this, and if not, it's okay. No expiration dates for designated agents, right? There's no expiration dates, they don't ever expire. There's no prerequisites to have that designated agent license. There's no fee for it. If you decide, hey, I'm not a designated agent for any HOA anymore, let me know and I can help fix that. Just remember that it will still come up if somebody searches for you, it still will come up, right? Um, but it will show them as inactive. It's not going to show them as active, but their information will still be here. It just won't show that they are active as a designated agent. Right. So let's just say for this one, well, the HOA is in there, it's registered, but it's already renewed. What if it's already renewed, but you still have to change the designated agent information? So what do you do? Because you can't do it in the renewal, right? There's no licenses to renew. You already renewed it. So that's most of you have seen this come up when it says no licenses to renew. Please confirm that the license expiration date, pretty much is correct. Something's wrong, something's going on. That's when you say, hey, what happened? Well, I want to make sure here really quick that it's active, it's either already renewed, and if it shows that it's expired, just let me know. It might be a glitch, right? We'll fix that. So let's go in and change the designated agent because his HOA is already renewed, right? And again, I'll show you again how I got there really quick because that was pretty quick. I didn't mean to click that fast. Okay, well, the way I found it was online services. If you click on more online services up top, you have all these different options, right? But we want to add and remove a designated agent. So we're going to do that. Just click continue if you already started that process. This is who we had before, and I'm wanting to add somebody else. Click the pencil icon, and you'll see this drop down here, and this is to remove that person from the HOA. This doesn't mean that you're inactivating. People are wondering, am I inactivating their license? No, you're not. That's something only we can do on our end. You are just inactivating them from the HOA account, right? And you want to do this because how else are you going to add yourself? You can't add yourself without removing somebody first. Because you can't have two designated agents under one HOA because you'll get a pop-up message. So we already removed them, right? Today, well, yesterday, we removed them, inactive. We got to add somebody else. Now, this is the license lookup. If you don't know if the HOA is registered, if you need to find out, hey, is a designated agent even registered? We need to know. This is where you go, and it will pull it up for you when you're searching for the designated agent. If you need this information, if you need to look up an HOA without having to renew an HOA, without anything to do with the registration, you're just looking up a license. Again, this is where you will go. This is the license lookup. So in this case, we are going to add a designated agent. So we either want, if we know their license number, we could pull it up. But again, as I mentioned, same thing with the HOA license number on that form. Only enter the numbers after the zeros. It makes it easier. It's you even with entering the DA, you don't have to enter the DA credential or the DA letters as a designated agent. You could just type in the number, right? In my case, I will be adding a new designated agent, but I'm going to be using the first and last name as the way to add them, right? Because I don't know their license number. I just know I'm going to add, and I have their first name and last name. So my, well, I could type Tester McLevin is my name for my designated agent. And if you type the first and last name, you'll find it, right? As long as you type the first and last name only and or only the designated agent license number. So you got to choose which one you want to search by. So in this case, because I found Tester McLevin, we are adding Tester McLevin as a designated agent for the Dora HOA. So now all the information is there, right? We added them today. Now we're going to go next. And guess what? We finish it. So we're done with that. That's how you add if the HOA is already registered, if it's already renewed, if, say you renewed it and a week later you have a new designated agent. So that's kind of the process for that little scenario there. So we're done with it. And the way to verify is make sure that they're listed under here as a designated agent. So there's that one, right? Let's say you don't have a designated agent account, right? So that's when you say, well, I don't know what to do. How do I get a new account? What do I do? That's when you go and hit register. Again, as an individual because it's for a designated agent. And you're going to hit no, remember, because you're not already licensed with us. If you already have an account, that's fine. But if you don't, if you never had a license with us, you're going to hit individual and select no. Many of you are familiar with this one. If you've created an account, again, even when accessing the HOA account using the online registration number, you see it brings you back to that same page where you're going to change the user ID and password. So that's kind of how those two work together. All you're doing here is registering a new account to become a designated agent. So you want to enter all the information. This has everything to do about you as a designated agent, whether you're with the management company, whether you are self-managed HOA. It's fine. We just want to know what your information is, right? And once you have done that, right, we will show you. I don't know if you have any questions, Nick. Do we have any questions? Sorry, I'm just curious.
No worries, Amanda. Yeah, I had one question here. Is the designated agent for the HOA different from the registered agent for the Secretary of
That's a
State?
good question. Very good question. I get that question a lot. Um, it's not the same. So as I mentioned earlier, so there's two separate departments, right? So it can be the same individual that's the designated agent and the registered agent. Sometimes it is, most of the time it is the same person. And if not, it's fine. But the registered agent, again, is with the Secretary of State. They are where all the entities are registered within the state of Colorado, right? You need an entity number. You need to register your business. That's where all businesses go to register, right? So they give you that registered agent number. Ours is a designated agent, different for sure. But that really is a good question because I know I get that a lot. So no, definitely not the same, two separate departments.
Yeah, thanks. And just to reiterate, the designated agent is a point of contact for the Division of Real Estate, and the registered agent, as David mentioned in the chat, is a person or company present in Colorado who's available for service of process in a lawsuit.
I believe that is right. Well, when it comes to the designated agent, yes, designated agent is the point of contact. So I also wanted to, if I didn't already show that, I will. I apologize if I didn't show that process. But if you're looking for an HOA and again, you want to know if it's registered, well, the designated agent who is registered, right, for the HOA, that's whose contact information is going to come up. So say you live in Dora HOA, but well, you're going to be living in Dora HOA. You don't know who the contact person is. You need a little bit more information. As long as you have the secretary or the HOA name, we can get you the contact person, and now that is a designated agent. When it comes to the registered agent and the Secretary of State, they do have their own process. I don't know what their process is, but yes, the registered agent is their contact person that I believe that's the initial person who files for the entity, if I'm not wrong.
Thank you, Amanda.
Yeah, of course. Let's see. So again, getting back into this. So this is just to create your account, right? If you are not a designated agent. So you want to make sure you're completing all this. Once you've done that, and you created the account, all your information is there, user ID, password, all that good stuff. You'll scroll down and you'll find here, apply for a new license. So that's how easy that is. As long as you're selecting the designated agent application, you're good. Some people tend to either, I don't know if sometimes I see where the designated agent application or the name, right, for the HOA is under the name for a designated agent is under an HOA account. Well, you're gonna be like, well, why? I know I applied for the right account. I put my information and I put my name. So how is it under the HOA account? Well, you have to make sure that you're selecting the correct one. So, like I said, once you've created your account, you go in and apply for a new license, you select the designated agent one. That's, of course, to become a designated agent. If the HOA is already registered, you do not need to re-register it. That's a very, very key thing to know. Otherwise, you're just, again, just duplicating accounts. And some people do get thrown off by that because they'll say, hey, well, I thought this HOA was registered a long time ago. How is it just registered now? So you want to make sure that you are, again, selecting the correct one. Um, I did say I wanted to go in and help or show how to search, right, for an HOA. Same thing, our website, and that is going to be, I know it, we may have already provided that. I'll provide that also in the presentation. Here it's almost done, but I have the link and it will bring you right to this page. This is our online services, right? So you want to make sure HOA is already registered. So you want to look up a license. You go to online services, you look up that license, and again, it's the same one I just showed you in the designated agent application or the HOA information, how to update the designated agent. This will come up. This is to search any type of license as long as they are registered within the division of real estate. So we want to search if, right, Dora HOA is registered. We don't have any other information. This may or may not be the name. Sometimes that's kind of how I've seen it. We don't know, but we're gonna check, right? And you say, okay, wow, it is registered. Okay, but what happened? They expired. Oh, well, guess what? My designated agent didn't renew it. So either they're no longer with the management company or um within the HOA on the board, or they're no longer the president. So this would have been their contact person, right? Information. So assuming that they're registered and they have added themselves as a designated agent under the HOA, you'll find their information here. Sometimes you'll see a management company information, the name within the management company, and you'll get the management company's phone number. Just make sure you are um, uh, mentioning that designated agent when it comes to the HOA. That way they're familiar with who you're looking for because they are the DA, right, for the HOA. So if they are in there, if they're registered, if they're active as a designated agent, and you'll see that here, right? If they are, you'll say, okay, okay, their license is no longer there. What's going on? Okay, well, I'll just double check and see if they're no longer there. If not, then we need to update their information. So that's another way to search, of course. Different ways, right? But with that really quick, I'm going to get back in. If you have any questions on that, let me know. I know it's a lot. As I mentioned, when you update the designated agent information, make sure, or when you search for it, make sure you're typing the first and last name, right? Don't type the state, zip, all that other stuff, because you won't find anything. And with that, I don't know if we have any more questions. I'm happy to answer. Here is our website. Like I said, this is our website, right? dra.colorado.gov/HOA Center. Here's my information here. Reach out to me if you have questions on this, if you have questions on how to add yourself as a designated agent if you're within a management company, how to update the information if you're new to the board. If you need access to the HOA account, you need an online registration number, form, any type of questions when it comes to the registrations, I'm very, very, very happy to help where I can. So with that, Again, do we have any other questions? I'm happy to leave these last 10 minutes to any questions that we have.
I'm just kind of going through the chat here, Amanda.
Yeah, um, we'll
When
go through that with you
when
all.
when when you're trying to search the HOA in the business DBA name field, do you have any tips on which words to use? Like for example, the first word of the HOA name,
Yeah.
or
So I will show you that also. I wanted to, that's a good question. Thank you for asking that. So what if the HOA starts with the word the, right? Well, I can say if that word the is missing, you're not gonna find anything, right? Um, as long as you're entering it spelled exactly how it's spelled. If you don't know, if you're not sure, check again with the Secretary of State and see how they're registered there. And then you can come back here onto this website and plug that information here, and there is a chance you will find that there that way. If it's not in here, it's safe to assume that it's not registered, but you want to double check, right? So just make sure and double check with me. But yes, as long as you're entering this information exactly how it's registered with the Secretary of State, you will more than likely find that information in here, assuming that it is registered with us.
perfect. Thanks, Amanda.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome. That was a good question. I guess I that was a very good point to make. Okay.
Lorna had a question. She was wondering. Well, she stated that she created an individual account as a DA, but for when she tries to look herself up from her HOA account using the first and last name, it's not finding her.
So if you registered as a designated agent, right, and you looked yourself up, but you couldn't find it, there may be a chance that, I mean, I don't want to assume, but maybe you didn't submit the application. Maybe you missed a step, or it could be that. Um, so that's a good point also to make is that sometimes if you're not finding your information in here, maybe you created an account and you logged out thinking that you submitted it, right? And it's still floating somewhere in there, right? Up in the cloud somewhere. So you want to make sure that you submitted it, right? So maybe the account was created, but the application wasn't submitted. That could be a possibility. There could be so many other reasons, but reach out to me and I'm happy to search that for you. Again, this is my contact information. So you can definitely use that. Reach out to me and um, I can help look and search for that for you.
All right, thanks, Amanda. Ashley had a question here. That's a good one. Her question is, and I can try and answer it. Her question is, do all board members have to register, or only one board member or the management company as the designated agent? So, Ashley, the Unit Owners Association has to register. Typically, that means the board. So the board should they should communicate with each other and first identify who is the designated agent. If we don't have one, we should designate someone as the person to register with the division. Then that person would submit the application or renewal and the fee. Um, Not each individual board member. There's no requirement that each individual board member registers under CCIOA subsection 401. However, this doesn't speak to the Corporate Transparency Act, and some of you might have heard of the Corporate Transparency Act, which is short for the CTA. We're still learning more about its requirements, but right now, likely it will require all uh, owners of a nonprofit corporation to submit information to the FinCEN, or the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. We will be sending out more information as we learn more. So keep your ears open and eyes peeled for that. But for Kiowa's registration purposes, it does not apply for each individual board member.
Good question. I'm looking to see if there's any other questions in here.
I had a question submitted. Is it common for an association's attorneys to register for them? They can certainly register. There's nothing that would say no. We're not going to. An attorney cannot register an association. It really just comes down to communication on the board and who is the person responsible for handling this registration requirement. It could be the attorney, it can be the community manager, or it could be the secretary or the treasurer. All right, with that, let's see. Just looking at some.
I'm looking through some also, and okay, so I just seen this last one from George. I'm the new designated agent for an HOA that has an HOA number and a Secretary of State ID number. Do I need the online registration number? If you are looking to update the information and you do not have the account login information, yes. Online registration number is going to help you access the account. So again, if you don't have that and you have everything else, perfect. Send me an email. And I'll send you that online registration number. For any others? Okay, I don't see any others, but like I said, also keep in mind we will be getting that new online services system soon. Like I said, we don't have an exact date, but we will provide information over to everybody when it's time to get familiar with it and learn the new system. I'm excited. I really am. I've been working with this system for a while now, and I'm ready for a new change. That's a good thing, right? Change is good. So hopefully it's nice and sometimes and it's better than how this one can be. I know this one's sometimes not user friendly, so we're hoping for better outcome.
All right, thanks, Amanda, for that presentation. I just put my video back on, but we just had one last quick announcement before we disconnect here. We will be holding our annual HOA legislative update on June 28th, which is about a month, like exactly 1 month from today, 4 weeks from today. Friday, June 28th at 1 p.m. in the same online format. So make sure to mark your calendars for that, as it was definitely a busy legislative session, and we will be excited to educate you and let you know which laws were passed that directly and indirectly impact HOAs in Colorado. So we appreciate you all for attending our forum today, and feel free to shoot us an email with any follow-up questions or concerns. And hopefully none of you got battered too bad with the hail that we had yesterday, but